my first time experiencing this in business.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to handle it or how to, I think at some point I sank into depression.
Oh.
Yeah, just trying to deal with that. But hey, we are good, we're okay now, yeah. I remember at one time my gown was being ranked amongst the top 10 gowns. That was a huge, one of the biggest moments, you know, your gown standing there alongside those well-seasoned countries, and people think, yeah, the biggest designers are coming from this country, and you're being mentioned alongside them. That was a big one. Hellen is a mother, a businesswoman, a sister, your next door neighbor. I mean, I'm your ordinary girl next door.
Yeah.
I'm a lover of life. I travel for fun and just to unwind. I read a lot of books. I'm also a fashion enthusiast and a designer. Born in a family where my mom was and is still a tailor. Learned a lot from her, grew up around tailoring, designing and all those things. So I think it runs in the blood. Figuring out where it really started for me, I will say it's from childhood, but then I took it up seriously almost 10 years ago. Yeah, when I had to quit my job to now come into fashion. First, I did a couple of jobs before the last one where I quit when I was working at the Postal Corporation of Kenya. And when I started, I didn't delve into fashion immediately. Of course, I didn't have capital. I didn't have a proper plan, like the way you say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I didn't have a vision written down or anything, but all I knew is that I wanted to pursue what I was so passionate about at that time, which was fashion. So when I quit, I only had 5,000 shillings, and that is because I had to pay my employer because I quit without notice. You guys, when you quit, make sure you give notice, or there are consequences for not doing things the right way. So I had to pay my employer 1 month in lieu. So what I was left with was 5,000. So with the 5,000, I ventured into the Mtumba business. My dad was really against me quitting my job because it was a permanent and a pensionable job. So everybody was like, you're crazy, you're so crazy, how can you leave this? I mean, it will be pensionable at the end of the day by the time you retire. So you're going to venture into something that you're not so sure about. And I remember telling him, let me try, so that if I fail, at least I'll know that I tried and I failed. The first challenge I had was to raise funds to buy everything I need to start. And remember, I didn't have a budget, so I didn't even know what I need. I was fumbling my way through. So I fumbled my way through until we are here where we are. When I started, my mom was everything. She taught me how to take measurements. I would take designs to her, ask her what to do. Until that, she cross-checks and she double-checks. When we have issues, I call her and tell her I'm having issues here. And of course, we are living in the social media era where you can literally, all the information you need is out there. Like, I never went to a fashion school. That's another thing. Never stepped into a fashion class. Everything I've learned is through YouTube, social media, Pinterest, I mean, name it. The thing that gives me the greatest joy, first of all, is seeing each and every client walk out satisfied, happy, meeting the expectation, whatever their social status in the society. It doesn't matter what their background is. The fact that they've trusted me and my brand to bring forth their vision to life. It's our duty to make sure that they're extremely satisfied. And we also thrive on clients' feedback to improve on where we fail, because hey, we're human. You're not going to make everybody happy, so at some point you will fail, and it's the feedback from the clients that will help you grow, will help you make a better you for tomorrow. I've had a couple of highs, so many highs, but the one that stands out the most was the 2018-2019 Miss Universe. That one has always stood out for me. I've done high-flying clients, but that particular one stands out for me because it was my first I was venturing into occasional wear. I'd shifted and now wanted to become an occasional wear designer. And so when they gave me this platform that is so huge, and it's a competition that is worldwide, it's not like contained within our borders only. It's something that every country in the world looks forward to and participates in, and they were giving me the platform to become that occasional wear designer that I've always wanted to. So this was a big opening for me. It was a big stage for me, and I threw myself completely into the project. I'm glad I did, because the finalists went all the way to the US, and seeing my design compared alongside designs from other countries like France, China, I mean the big wigs in fashion. I remember at one time my gown was being ranked amongst the top 10 gowns. That was a huge, one of the biggest moments, you know, your gown standing there alongside those well-seasoned countries, and people think, yeah, the biggest designers are coming from this country, and you're being mentioned alongside them. That was a big one. Yes, hard work is part of my story, but it can only be God. I mean, would you be able to wake up and work hard if you're not in perfect health? No. So as much as hard work is part of the story, God's grace, God's favor is also part of it. Well, like salvation, it's not easy. It's not easy because one, a lot of expectation is placed on you as a believer. Expectations of you can't fail. At the end of the day, you're human. You will fail at some point. And like I said, it's only through grace that you're able to wake up and operate the next day after your failures, after your low moments. So it's not been easy because one, the society places a lot of expectations on you as a believer. They don't expect certain things. They don't expect you to fall short. And also the fashion industry is very dynamic. But I thank God that even if I don't participate or I don't take part in certain things, the Lord still lifts me. But again, grace will always carry you through if you pray and tell God, and if you're genuine within your heart. I mean, He will always pave way. He will always just go before you in everything you do. One thing I would say is that even as the clients, both the client and the fundis in the sector have to have a big role to play. We have to be realistic, first of all, when we are approaching them. Because remember, sometimes you go to the fundi. I'm not talking from the designer's point of view. I'm talking if you're dealing with the fundi and dealing with the designer are two different things. We are a bit professional. The fundi will not be very professional with you. Maybe you approach them, they have a problem, they were expecting to get 2,000-3,000 to go sort out a problem, and you come with a crazy time limit. You want your dress in 2 days, and they wanted 10,000, and you're dangling the 10,000 in their face. The 2-day period is quite impossible, but you've dangled something they need. Recipe for disaster. So we have to be very realistic, first of all, with the expectations we place upon the industry to avoid a lot of disappointments. But that being said, the industry still needs a lot of regulations to operate in a proper manner. I think Kenya has been ready. We just need to guide people into the right direction for them to embrace fashion the way it should be. I mean, Africa has been known to lag behind in almost everything, but like I say, we are very dynamic. We're very dynamic in our thinking, we're very dynamic in our culture, we're very dynamic in the way we operate. We're not like the Western world. And a lot of expectation has been placed on us from the Western world on how we should dress, how we should act, how we should behave. And at some point, I feel like we lose our culture, we lose our sense of Africanism in the process of trying to catch up with what the Western world expects from us. So what I would urge African designers is to embrace our African culture so that we don't get assimilated into the Western culture and forget who we are. My lowest moment was during the COVID-19 pandemic when it first hit. boom, we didn't know what to expect. Everything had to shut down, and we had to sit at home. I have a number of employees. They still had to pay rent. They still had to eat. And figuring out how we're going to move from there, because we depend on the orders that come in to be able to survive on a daily. So you're in a place where there are no orders coming in, there are no clients coming in, everybody's staying at home, and still bills have to be paid. So I think that was one of our lowest, if I must say. The rest I think we can handle. But this one was a huge one. It was my first time experiencing this in business. I didn't know how to handle it or how to, I think at some point I sank into depression. Just trying to deal with that. But hey, we are good, we're okay now, because you're looking at yourself, you're crying over your business, and somebody else is crying over a loved one whom they've lost due to the pandemic. So are you going to be insensitive and cry about your business while somebody else has lost somebody for the rest of their lives? So the Bible also says that in all things, learn to give thanks. And I remember that was one of the hardest verses I had to take and live by during that time. I had to wake up every morning and tell God, thank you, even though things are not working, thank you. Designs can be inspired by so many things. Sometimes you look at a fabric and you go like, this would be perfect for this. Sometimes it's the weather. You feel cold and you're like, hey, I need to search for designs for this weather. You know, sometimes it's the occasion. Like I said, I'm an occasional wear designer. So you look at what would go well with this occasion. Where do you need to cover? Where do you need to show with such an occasion? For example, if it's a Rurashio dress, the traditional marriage ceremonies, there's a lot of covering, and there's also a lot of traditions to be considered in terms of color and everything. So all those things regulate and decide like on what you're supposed to design and how you're going to design it. The ones that I source locally in the local market, you'll find them anywhere in town, so many places. We have so many markets where we source for fabric. Then those ones that I manufacture for my own use and for my brand's use, so they are exclusive to my brand. And we have very good textile industries in the country that people ought to look out for and go to just expand and see where their creativity takes them. My teammates, I call them teammates, my employees, they've been so good. I've had them for years. We've made mistakes, we've fumbled, we've fallen, we've risen, we've seen the hand of God, we've fought, of course, and we are still here. So I count them as part of my family, because I can't do this without them. Even as we're seated here doing this interview, they're busy, in the background trying to make things work, trying to make sure that the deadlines are met. There are times we've not slept, we've literally slept in this place, and I love them. I wouldn't be who I am or where I am without them. I mean, it's teamwork. In design and fashion, you can never do it alone. It's teamwork. The ideas, my ideas, put them on the table, they work together. I want to thank God. I should have started with Him. I want to thank God for the gift that He has given me. I used to sketch way back when I was a baby in primary school. I remember going for sketching competitions, and I think that has helped me in my career. So for the gifts He has imparted in me, for the eye in fashion, I want to thank Him. I'm so grateful. I mean, I wouldn't be standing here today. So many businesses, big businesses, I mean, fell during the pandemic. But look at me. Big supermarkets that fell after the pandemic. Big businesses that had to close down after the pandemic. But for me, I got better after the pandemic. I've seen His hands. I've done things that ordinarily I wouldn't have done. Another thing I want to thank God for is the people I've met along this journey. I've met amazing, amazing people along this journey. Clients who became friends, friends who became family. I mean, they pray for me. Sometimes I didn't even know that they're praying for me, and they've prayed for me. They've made my faith even stronger. I've met amazing gospel artists in the industry that have helped me pray. I mean, there's Evelyn Wanjiro. She became, I remember the first time we met, she was coming next to my shop to just grab something to eat. Okay. And she spotted the shop and she was like, hey, what do you guys do here? And from that day, we've become family. Not friends, family. Like literally we call each other, pray for each other, share our testimonies. There's Eve Bahati. We met during, I was going out for a photo shoot and then I met her. And since then, can I say the rest is history? She's like a small, the cutest small sister you'd pray to have. There's Joyce Omondi, and they've been amazing. I call them, we pray, we check up on each other. I mean, it moved from your regular relationship, a client relationship, to sisters that you can call, rely on. And that's one thing about being saved. Like, people easily adopt you, and they carry you under their wings, and they love you. I mean, it's the love and the support for me that has made me and has made my faith even become stronger. God does not use stones. God does not use mountains. He uses his people. They are my clients. The clients he has placed into my life, they have become part and parcel of this. I mean, sometimes people post me from nowhere. You go through people's stories and they posted you. And these are people I met during my business. I didn't know them from my childhood. And I'm like, people come here and they mention a client that I had served 5 years ago, and they go like, Rachel sent me, or Cecilia sent me, or, you know, Shiko sent me. And I thank God for them. I tell you, I remember one of my biggest prayers when I started going into the occasional wear was, how am I going to keep up in the industry? I don't go for all these night events, social events. How am I going to keep up with the industry and stay afloat and have my name known out there? And then God sends them, my sisters in the body of Christ. God sends them, and I'm like, he's already decided which direction I'm taking. So if I'm doing occasional wear, here they are. I'm going to make costumes for them. You know, dresses for their stage performances, for their videos. And it's been amazing. My parting shot would be one of my favorite quotes and saying, what you think about and thank about, you bring about. So always be grateful, always be thankful, have positive thoughts, and you will see them coming to life.
There you have it, guys. From the CEO of Hellen Designs herself, what you think about, what you thank about, you bring about. My goodness, so deep. So it was such an honor to just even host Hellen from Hellen Designs. So remember, guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to watch full time. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and also interact with us on our social media platforms. We are on Instagram at Bwenieve Digital, on YouTube Bwenieve Digital, on Facebook Bwenieve Digital, on Twitter Bwenieve Digital. That's it from us and the camera crew. Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you so much for being with us. That's it, guys. We love you and God loves you most.